Good evening, my friends. Tonight, I'm going to share out of Revelation chapter 2, starting at verse 8. And I'm just going to read it because it's long. And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, These things says the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. And I started on verse 8 because as I was reading this, I realized I feel like we got to pay attention to what the Lord is saying. These things says the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. And I feel like he says, like, I was dead and I'm alive, because he's pointing out the significance of death not being the end. You know what I mean? I feel like he's saying, look, like, it doesn't matter. Even death isn't the end. Death, I was even dead and I'm alive. Like, if I was dead, like, you should not fear death. And he goes on to talk about, I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but you're rich, and it's important for us to understand that true riches in this life have nothing to do with physical gain, or gold or money or Roth IRAs or any of that stuff. Like, true riches in this life is to stay faithful to God even through all the mess that we go through, and to have faith, a faith of greater worth than gold. Faith is the most valuable thing in this life. If you can maintain your faith even in the midst of trials and tribulations and suffering, that is a true treasure. And he says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Which actually, I believe he's speaking about Jews who are, still according to the law, like keeping the law of Moses, that are of the synagogue of Satan. Um, and he goes on to tell them, like, don't fear anything which you will suffer. He's telling them, this is Jesus, He's telling them, you're going to suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that you may be tried, and you will have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. So he's forewarning them, you're going to suffer, and this is to be expected as my servant. And it's even the devil is coming after you. And what's crazy is that the Lord is allowing the devil to cast some of them into prison for this purpose, that you may be tried. That you may be tried. And this is, I think I've talked about it before, but maybe I'll go into this a little bit more tomorrow. But Satan's purpose is to test us and try us and to purify us. And you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death. So he's saying, you're going to have tribulation 10 days, but even to the point of death, be faithful. Like, you might not even come out of this tribulation. I mean, it may result in death, but even if it does, don't worry. I'm giving you a crown of life. Like, be faithful unto death. Like, don't resist even what they're doing. As a Christian, we're not called to fight back. None of the Christians, none of the martyrs. Jesus himself set the example. As a sheep before her shears is silent, so he did not open his mouth. Anytime the apostles, or even Stephen, when he was opening his mouth, he was testifying of the glory of God and of the goodness of God and the faithfulness of God, and how the Jews rejected him. And the Jews, he wasn't arguing with them. He wasn't trying to fight them or anything. He was just telling them the truth, and the truth made them so angry that they murdered him. So, and he didn't fight back. He allowed it to happen. This is how we go out in this life. We don't go out swinging. We go out getting swung on. You know what I'm saying? So let's get that clear. Okay. But because we don't have to defend ourselves. We're okay with dying because we know that death is the beginning. We're like, okay, thank you. Finally, you getting me out of this place. You know what I mean? So, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. No coincidence, I don't think, that he's mentioning death again here, where he says, I was dead and I'm alive. And like, you will not be harmed of the second death. Like, dying in this world is not the end. The second death is the only death that matters, and that will not touch you if you love not your life unto a physical death in this place, and you endure tribulation and suffering and stay faithful to Jesus until the end. Amen.